Welcome back, listeners, to Learning from Friends. My name is Cade Curtis, your tour guide in this lovely adventure we get to do every 2 weeks together. I'm so glad that you have come in and spent your time with us. If you're a first-time listener, welcome. If you're, 80th, 30th, 50th listener time, welcome as well. Glad that you're here with us. As you know, before we kind of dive into things, before I introduce our topic here, we've got our quote. This time, the quote's coming from my nephew. And it's about being nice. So, excited about this one. Nephew, take it away.
Be nice to yourself. It's hard to be happy when someone's mean to you all the time. Christina Ariwa.
Thank you for that quote. That is some great words of advice to make sure that we're always just be nice. You never know when things kind of can come up, and we are our own best ally when it comes as well. You can make those decisions of being nice or not. So think about that for a moment. Good intention for the episode. Now let's get started. Here we go. I have someone here that's going to speak with us as a health and fitness coach, letting us know how we can better be able to take care of ourselves, what some kind of maybe the mental aspect of things of what we're eating. It could be of how we're working out or protecting our bodies, because if we have one body, one life. And that is the best way to be able to do it, is being aware and just sometimes thinking about it. Your habits really is what makes you as an individual. So I'm excited here to welcome Britney into the podcast. Britney, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about this because it's something I'm super passionate about, and it means a lot to me. So I'm excited to be here and to catch up with you. And
yeah, it's been a long time. That's the one thing for sure. Like it's been a long time. So the large majority of the audience, we're going to go with, I like to throw out a random number of, I'm going to go with 92% of the people in the audience have no clue who you are. Mm-hmm. Give us some information about who is Britney.
I'm a Christian. I am a mom. I have 2 babies. I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son. I have 3 dogs and a cat. So I'm a huge animal lover.
Yay.
I live in North Georgia. I am a lover of people and life and growth and anything holistic. And
awesome.
I'm always just big on, we as humans need to grow and learn. I'm the oldest of 5. I grew up in North Georgia as well, in Cherokee County. So still local, but a little bit farther north.
It's one of those places that your comfort here. It's a great community that's, even though we're blowing up in terms of size. But yeah, thank you for kind of sharing that information here with us, because it's neat to have that little personal connection before going into an episode. Mm-hmm. Now, how do we know each other?
We went to middle school and high school together. So that was a long time ago as well. I just had
a while.
My 35th birthday. So I'm like, I don't feel 35, but when's your birthday?
I'm the 6th. You were like,
okay,
what, the 20th?
22nd.
Yeah, 22nd. So yeah.
Oh yeah, we're not far apart. But yeah, it's a weird age to turn. Like,
I agree.
I don't feel 35, and maybe that's
a good thing. It's all about mental perspective.
Yeah, it is. I just did this weird, they're called Zyto scans, and they're like thermal facial scans. And it told me that my skin looked like it was 26 years old. And I was like, yay.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
I remember doing they'd have the real age, whenever you go through and do for your physical and blood work and everything like that, your blood work and your different levels are like that of a 28-year-old. I'm like, cool.
Yeah. I'll makes you proud of yourself.
It does. It makes you feel good because you know what you're kind of doing. Mm-hmm. But audience, I'm going to give you a little perspective here of the guests that I kind of have that come on in terms of how we know each other in space. We didn't really talk in high school. We had a couple classes together, but we didn't kind of connect because we were just different worlds.
Yeah. And then I felt like I was pretty shy and quiet and had my little group of friends, but I just didn't. We would say hi and stuff, I'm sure, in class or work together but it wasn't. And then, Facebook came around, and so we could all be friends. So we all kind of keep up with each other, which is nice. I like doing that. But yeah, it's cool to connect when we're older and have learned some things and
can look back and kind of say, oh, well, maybe this was this or this was not. Mm-hmm. I even connected back up with a guy that was my high school bully. And now, I'm glad I did, because I learned more about that. I learned what kind of happened, what he was going through, but never would have imagined that. And I follow a bunch of your stuff that you do, which, we'll plug your social stuff here in a little while of. Without that, I'm like, oh man, I would have never thought to kind of reach back out. But I recommend that to people. If you guests former people that I kind of know in my life, you never know when they're going to come back in. So I'm glad that I got the opportunity here. And when you responded back, I was like,
I know. And we also have like a lot of stuff in common that I didn't know you did. And like, you didn't know I did. So I think it's always important too, to like, so people who they were when they were younger, or that's not who they are now necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. I agree 110% on being able to do that. And that kind of makes me feel like, man, going back in high school, maybe we actually could have probably got along.
We probably really could have, yeah.
Probably could have. But again, with you were shy and you didn't want to be able to get out that. And I was just a band kid and stuck in my circle. Even though my senior year, I kind of like jumped out there, which was really odd for me. But it was meant to happen later on.
Yes.
And that's the whole thing. We're all put here for reasons here.
Yes.
So as we go into this year, there is sometimes vocabulary, jargon, and things that we use. Is there anything that you just kind of want to throw out there that may be like, you know what? I don't think people would think about this word, but I say it all the time, but here's a little definition. So if I say it a lot, here's what I mean.
I don't think so. I mean, I might use the word Shakeology, which is a shake, but I'll talk about that later on.
Okay.
And then another word would be Energize, is another product, but I don't think most people should know anything else I talk about.
Hey, that goes a long way.
Yeah.
You never know.
That's
the neat thing about it. Like, because I get in education and I start throwing out like IEP 504, and they're just like, what are you talking about? Because you're used to the jargon. You're used to saying it all the time. Because I loved how we had the conversation earlier, and it's like, oh yeah, I know exactly what that means and what that means. So it all kind of interconnects here. But
yes, it does.
If you don't have that person that knows it, they're lost. Like,
if anything comes up, I'll make sure I explain it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, education talks.
Yes.
Education talks always fun. Whenever you grow up around it your entire life and you're still involved with it.
Yes.
But the definition here, but speaking of definitions, speaking of stuff, what is a health and wellness coach? Like, what is that?
I would say that a health and wellness coach is, from my perspective, is you're helping other people gain the knowledge and the tools that they need to get themselves back on track with their health. And I think a lot of people think of health and wellness as just a physical aspect, but I'm big on, there's a huge mental aspect of it that really needs to come first. And you need to be focused on that as well. And then your physical will come. Like, they go hand in hand. That's what I always tell people. Your mental and physical health go hand in hand. Like, my team is called Spirit and Body because they go together. Like, your spirit and your body go together, and you have to heal. And that's not always just physical. It's not always about losing weight or getting fit. It's, you got to get your mind right too, or it doesn't matter. You got to change
all of it. The habits, man. Habits are huge. I mean, I definitely know, I call it tools to your toolbox.
Yes.
You like to add that on. Having gone through with my PTSD, my anxiety, my depression, all of that is, it takes admitting first you have the problem, realizing it, what's the habits that's taking it, and how to get there, and having a coach like yourself to be able to provide that advice that maybe you've heard it 1,000 times, or maybe you've said it to yourself, but having another person that maybe connects with you this time. It may take that third, fourth, 100th voice to get there. And you have that kind of calming kind of voice too when you talk, that always kind of like, it's nice and it's to the point.
Yes.
You don't walk around it.
No, I'm very to the point. Sometimes that hurts me. Sometimes it helps me.
But
depends on the person.
Exactly. It depends on the person and what they're needing at that time.
Well, and if they're ready to hear it. Like,
that's the biggest part.
And how you deliver. Like, I've had to learn, I was a very blunt person, and sometimes my delivery was not well. So I had to make sure that I kind of check myself and make sure I'm saying, if I need to be direct, that I'm saying it with love as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's important too, to think, because I was not always that person. I had to like,
as we age, we get better about it.
Yes, we do.
Good thing from that.
You learn and grow.
Yeah. You learn the social skills and things like that. Because definitely, if you would have talked to me in high school in comparison to where I am now, I think it's different. The things we experience.
Yes.
And that comes with age. And there's a lot of experience that comes to it. What is some of your experience in this background to kind of bring to this?
I always grew up. Both my parents were very active. My mom was really into nutrition and making sure that she was giving our bodies what it needed and kind of staying away from processed things. So looking back now and like what we know of this world right now, I'm so very thankful for that, because she set me up for success. She set all of us up for success. Now, I don't have a degree. I don't have any they provide you trainings when you sign up to be a coach, but you don't have to have any kind of background in it. Like, it's literally for everyone. That's what I love about it.
That's so accessible. I like that. Now, whenever you kind of do training, does it give you like certain like, oh yeah, you take these classes and it gives you this kind of certification or X, Y, and Z, or it's just like, hey, this is a general overarching, you kind of take this class, but it helps us help you a little bit better knowledge space.
There are certain certification you can get. Like, we have 2 nutrition programs, and so you can get certified in being like masters in that. Now, when anybody signs up, they have videos that everybody can watch to learn the program. But, you know, when you're talking to somebody about something or teaching them about it, you want to be knowledgeable in that. So you don't have to, it's not like a certification per se, but it is more like a class. And you learn so much, though. I've learned so much about my body. I think it's more of like a learn as you go thing, though. It's not something that you need to like sit at a class and learn and go, I'll know all these definitions.
I definitely agree with that.
It's not, it's something that and it's different for everybody. I think that's like the coolest thing about, we have a summit every single year, and it's like a conference that we go to every summer.
Okay.
And when it's thousands of women, and you see, or there's men too, but it's more women than
majority,
men.
yeah.
But it's so cool to see how different everybody is. But we all come together for that same, it's such a supportive environment. Like, we're all so different, but we're all there cheering each other on. And everybody gets along. Everyone
needs the cheerleaders of support. If you have a community that loves that, you want to go back.
Yes.
You want to do more for it. And again, perspective of you may have some knowledge they don't have, and they may have not thought about it in that way. So, well, we're helping each other out. Some areas units are so reclusive of, it's competition. I don't want to release my secrets, or I don't want to release that.
And I feel like that's kind of, I don't know, I think that's a girl thing too. Like, women are naturally more competitive against each other than men, to me sometimes, or at least in today's world. And I had some like run-ins with females that were not like that. I was a competition, and I don't ever want to make another female feel like that
or something.
But this community and this program has helped me overcome that, because literally everybody supports everybody and everybody loves everybody, and it just healed some of my wounds I had from other women. And I honestly am very lucky. I have had amazing girlfriends and always had really healthy female friendships, but this community has I've seen other people not have really good ones too.
I love the phrase of everybody loves everybody.
Yeah, they do. Like, everybody cheers everybody on. It is incredible to see.
That makes you want to come back and continue to do it. Because there are fields that people get ran out of because of the fact of the negativity that comes with it.
Oh, yeah.
Going through the things that we have all gone through in our lives and bringing that to the table, that experience could be able to help that next person that they may have not imagined it. And that can make, the specialization here comes into play of attracting those different people. And there is, like, what led you, why did you choose this?
Well, if I'm being honest, I got started, I got pregnant with my daughter. And right before I got pregnant with her, I had put on a ton of weight, and I was really insecure and just uncomfortable in my body. So I had couple friends, and they're like, we did this 21-day program. And, back then I was like, oh yeah, good 21-day quick fix. And so I signed up for it, and I did the workouts while I was pregnant. And I actually did get to lose some weight while I was pregnant, while even doing it, so it started kind of then. And then I started using their products, and I was like, okay, I like these are really good. I love these. They have a product called Energize that I call it my happy juice. Like, I don't know how I ever did momming without it. It is a lifesaver, because after I had my daughter, I couldn't drink coffee anymore. My anxiety was really bad after I had my daughter when I would drink caffeine. So, but this is a caffeine product, but it has good ingredients in it.
See, that makes all the difference.
Yes.
The ingredients that go to something can change it entirely.
Yes. So it's called Energize, and I drink it every single day, and it does not give me anxiety. Now, if I want to take 2 shots of it, I might get some anxiety, because you need to limit your caffeine.
Yeah, I'm very aware when I drink my teas of like which ones I'm drinking at which times, because of the natural caffeine that comes with some stuff.
Yes. So then I started their products, and then every time you sign up, you get a coach. So, and that's what I do. So my coach was like, well, have you ever thought about coaching? And I was like, not really. That's not for me. Yeah. I told her no so many times. And then she kept coming back. And then she was like, well, you're already using the product. So why don't you just sign up to be a discount coach?
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay, I'll take the discount. So I initially signed up to get the discount. And then she was like, okay, well, now you're getting the discount, but what if you could get your products paid for? Ooh. And so then I was like, I mean, why not? And then I started, after I had my daughter's 4, I got pregnant with my son. They're 20 months apart. So when I had him, I had the best pregnancy with him because I was so much healthier.
That can make a big difference.
Oh my gosh. It was, but I had really bad postpartum anxiety with him. So my husband and I decided that I would stay home and only work I think I worked 1 or 2 days a week. But it was a really hard transition for me to stay home because I had worked since I was 14. Yeah. I'd always had my own money. So I was like, I don't want to not have my own money. I don't want to rely on my husband. Even though he was an amazing provider. And I was like, okay, but I want to have something that's my own.
Exactly. And I still, this is you, part of you.
I left a job that I worked with kids with behavior disorders and I was super passionate about it. And I love helping people. That's just naturally my instinct. My mom is that kind of person and that's just in me as well. And so my coach was talking to me. She was like, you could do this with that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. And it kind of just went from there. And I've loved it. I've met people that I would have never met. Everybody on my team is all different ages, all different sizes, different groups of women. They're from different states. We have people from New York. We have people from, where's one girl's from? Way South Dakota, I think. It's just so cool.
All over the United States.
Yeah, I could meet anybody. And I was never that person. Like I said, I was shy. So even when I had social media before I started coaching, I didn't really post a lot. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, when I got to that point where I was overweight and miserable, and then the COVID hit 6 months after I had my daughter, and I just kind of I was very, very miserable. And I've never really been that person. I was always a very happy, easygoing person. There are things for my personal life that contributed to that, but it was and I had postpartum depression with my daughter, and I'd never dealt with that. I'd always the girl that was I
can do this on my own.
Got this. I don't, this. And I ignored it. And I was like, I don't have depression. What are you talking about? And, I was able through this program and getting myself healthier, I was able to work through that and get myself back on track and meet so many moms. I've met so many moms that need this and need something.
I agree.
That they can have that's their own while also being a mom, because, there's so much freedom in being able to be home with your babies.
That's true.
And still have an income coming in.
Yeah, because you need both. You need to take care of you. You need to take care of your family, and having that aspect too of, as you said, this is something I've done since I was 14 of having a little bit of a job and having this, and it creates, you have meaning too outside of just being the parent or being a spouse or, being a brother, sister, cousin, uncle, all the different things that kind of come out there. It's very important to have that little social connection in your life. It really is. Now, what's the name of the program again? Remind me
It's called Body. They actually rebranded. So the program's called Body, and how it works is you sign up, you get access to hundreds of workouts, you get access to nutrition programs, you get access to recipes, and all of our programs are designed by top trainers. Some of the trainers people might know are Joel Freeman, or the most one people know is I just drew a blank.
The guy from Insanity?
Yes, Shaun T. Yeah. I was like, oh my goodness. Shaun T. Everybody knows him from Insanity and P90X. Yeah. P90X was big.
That was huge. I remember owning a set of yoga.
Yes.
P90X yoga.
So I love me some Shaun T. So these are people, though, that are very knowledgeable in what they do.
Oh, yeah.
And they create these programs for a reason. And we also, when you sign up now, so the last couple years, they have put a big emphasis on mental health. So they have classes you can take for your mental health.
And are these classes that are okay, you do this live, or is it you're watching stuff later, or how does that kind of work?
Some of them are live. So you can sign up for live classes, and even if you miss the live class, it always goes in your library for later. Oh,
nice. Yeah.
But most of them are pre-recorded. But you just turn it on, and it just starts and you have your weights and stuff. It's all at home. I love that because I had a gym membership after I had my daughter too. You can't get to the gym with a baby. Like,
it's hard.
It's literally impossible. Like, I mean, you could, but it's a lot when you have a job. I went back to work full time without her.
That are there in the gym. You're wanting to move from equipment to it. Some people are going to be more acceptable of children being there. Some are not.
Yeah. Or you don't want to leave I didn't want to leave early or come home later after work because I wanted to be with my baby. I didn't want to leave her. I think that's a natural instinct as a mother to not want to leave your baby. And I think I contribute a lot of like my anxiety and my depression and stuff after my kids. You know, I thought like, what is it? Was it really postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety, or was it just my natural motherly?
It's kicking.
I need to be with my baby.
Yeah.
And I think that's just big on me. That's just my own personal little tangent on that. Like, it's totally normal, moms,
different.
to want to be with your baby.
Thank you for saying that. That's a huge thing that people need to hear.
Yeah.
Because they need it. You need to spend that time. You need to know kind of what is for you, that awareness, and allowing that to be, because of that's the we overanalyze and overthink, but sometimes it just is what that is for you, and your body's reacting naturally to what it needs, and we need to listen to that sometimes.
Yes. I think we've kind of gotten away from listening to our bodies.
Yes, we have.
And that's a big thing that I've learned through this. I have learned so much about myself and the importance of rest. I'm not a rester. I'm a go, go, go. Yep. I need to get all these things done. I have a schedule for everything. Like my house, I have a room I clean each day. Like I have my routine, which I think is important.
A routine is important to have.
Yeah. But you had to learn to be flexible with your routines. And I was not always a flexible routine girl. So, and I was like going and running on like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. And you can't do that.
No.
You will lose your mind.
Yep. Your body needs to recoup. It needs to re-energize. And that's a hard thing for people to give up too, because you don't have so many hours. They only have so many hours in the day. If I need to do this, does it need to be done right now immediately?
Exactly. You got to prioritize. And does it need to be done right now? Like that is such a good way to say it, because we just are like, well, I have the time, so might as well do it. But sometimes you need to just be present with your kids, or be present with your spouse or your family or whoever. And we miss that in society.
Yeah. And doing things in moderation too of, yes, you still need to go out and see your friends if you want to be able to go out and see your friends, but you don't need to see them every weekend. You don't need to be like, some people are like, oh, but I sat back and I binge watched the whole weekend, this whole TV show. It's like, okay. That could be, if this becomes a continual thing, that could be a problem for it. But sometimes maybe you just needed to turn off for a second. And hey, or I got caught up in reading all these books and I haven't done X, Y, Z, but I'm like, okay, maybe your mind needed that at that point. Now that's the thing, is trying to allow in certain things, because your body will tell you.
Yes. And I'm a big empath. So I think that really affected me in my work too. I didn't realize how much of the turmoil that was going on in my students' life, how much I took that on.
Yeah.
And I was not resting properly to be. So being an empath, I've learned that I have to rest and be alone. Yeah. Like that is how I recharge. So being with a book or being out in nature. I'd love to go hiking. That's like a big thing for me. I grew up doing that.
Earlier today, I saw that you had posted up that y'all went on a hike or something like that.
Yeah. We have a trail right beside our house that is beautiful. And it opens up to like this big water. It's like a waterfall, but it's like a more open space, and you can have like a picnic down there and everything. So it's perfect. We go there all the time.
You gotta, and that's having a space too that is yours, that you kind of like, you said that you go in and clean this room every day kind of deal. And hey, having that space to go walk on that trail is having, I call it a happy space. Having like, whenever you feel stressed out or you feel something that's a little off, go there and you need to have a space that is yours. Like I have a space that I sit back and I meditate in, and I go, this is where I'm meditating. If I go into this space, this is what I'm doing. And this is intentional for that, having that intention.
Well, and your body knows that, like sometimes people tell you don't have a TV in your room because your room is for sleeping. It's not for watching. I grew up in a house where we had one TV. So we all had to sit together and pick a show together and watch a TV as a family.
Oh gosh, and having four other siblings for that, and then mom and dad. Oh gosh.
But it was like, that was some of our best, that we had movie nights all the time. And so I think about that now, or like I have a prayer closet. And so I'll go in there and meditate, and I have my prayers and my Bible verses all up on the wall, and I have some lights in there, and I have like these little cushions that are kind of like meditation cushions.
That's so good.
I love it. Like I made it probably like 6 or 7 months ago, and my kids that's their bedtime routine now. We go in the prayer closet, they make their little prayer cards and write them on and tape them up on the wall, and then we do their devotion. then we go to bed. And we pray and go to bed.
That's
and
a good calming mechanism back.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like I used to have the issue all the time of before going to sleep, I need to, check my messages or check my email or things like that. And that is, as I've gotten older, I realized, gosh, that actually riles me up so much more than just reading a book before going to sleep, and just getting away from that electronic device and slowly going to sleep because the light is harsh
it's bad for you
on you, but also a being for the longest time would get me stressed. Or I need to see this right now. I need to do this right now. I need to already respond.
Or have to clear out that notification.
Yep, exactly. It's a check mark. It's a check mark.
I've learned over the last I've tried to like set boundaries with that. Or I mean, I was even at a point a while ago where like I just leave my phone out in a different room.
Yep, I have intentionally started to the point of putting my phone in another room, or if I'm going somewhere to see some friends, I'll leave it in the car intentionally. And they're like, wait, okay, I need to look up the answer. You don't need to look up the answer right now. You don't have to know this right now.
Well, I think it's like, that's why everybody does that instant gratification.
Yep.
People need that. And kids are stuck on that because they have their faces in phones and they get those answers right when they need them. And I'm like, they can't problem solve.
You can't problem solve. You're not learning how to properly research. And sometimes the answer that Google gives you may not be the right answer, or it could be opinion-based.
Yes.
You always need to fact check where things are coming from.
Yes, I agree on that.
Because I intentionally, sometimes in class, I'll allow the kids to be able to we're working on a little assignment. Okay, do some research. I want you to get familiar with doing some research. And I'm not saying I do this on purpose, kids. So if some of my students are listening, yes, I do this on purpose to you guys. I'll have a question that I want them to research, and I know the Google response is wrong. And so I'll use that question to see who's actually researching or not researching correctly, because they'll go right to that right spot. And it's a little tricky.
That. Yeah.
It's a little tricky, but it's important to know what they're actually using. And then having them learn how to write down a source has been pulling teeth this year, because they're like, Google or Wikipedia, that used to be for us. They're like, but that's a search engine, or that's not actually an actual website, legitimate. And what's legitimate? Okay, is this a .gov, a .net, a .com?
Yeah, they don't know all those things anymore.
They're not teaching.
It's crazy.
It's not being taught as quickly.
Yeah.
So
that's wild.
Yeah, instant gratification, man. It's always hard.
Yes.
That's always
that's with anything. I mean, you can even tie that into health and fitness world, because like I said, for years, I was that girl that was like, okay, this is this fad diet. This is this fad.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
This is this pill. This is this drink that's going to make you lose weight. No, there is no quick fix to getting healthy.
Never is.
And my dad's degree is in health and wellness stuff. And I remember him saying this when I was younger. He said, if diets and diet pills worked long term, they would stop making more of them. And it's just a way for them to make money off of us, in my opinion.
It's all psychology. They've got you thinking.
Yep.
They've got you literally thinking that you need this. This is the fix.
Oh, it's
the
answer. Branding and advertising. And I never want to think people that I'm selling people things. It's not. No, I'm selling you a lifestyle change. Yeah. It's not even I'm selling you that. I'm you can see it in my life. You can see it in my physical transformation. But the people that know me, or even people that haven't known me for very long, can see it in my emotional and mental transformation too. I've had some hard stuff go on in my life in the last couple of years, and I would not have made it through it without being healthy mentally and physically.
And the basics of getting down to the basic is agreeing to your mind that this is a long-term thing. Are there any basic tips that you would say, this is how I would start? This is the first habit, or this is something that you could suggest, just do one thing to see a result sometime in some way. Do you have any suggestions on that?
I would say 30 minutes a day of movement. Get off of your bottoms and move your body.
That is fair.
For 30 minutes. It doesn't, honestly, everybody's always when I really started losing weight after I had my son, and people were like, oh, she's got to work out an hour or 2 hours a day. Nope. I can, almost every single program that we have is 30 minutes or less, 5 times a week.
See, that's nice.
That is doable for everybody. People that say they don't have that time, you have that time. You're just not prioritizing it. And if you don't prioritize it now, you're going to have to prioritize it later, or you're going to be hurting because you didn't prioritize it. Your health is going to show.
Now.
Yes.
Best time starts now.
So just 30 minutes a day. Move your body. Even that's going for your walk around your neighborhood. You can find anything to do, even if it's doing something with your kids. Kids love. I grew
getting around.
Up working out with my mom. I remember mom having those videos up.
Oh man!
And the steps.
What was hers?
I cannot remember. I remember a share one. Like I remember there one was Sharon
awesome.
with their big hair. Okay, and she had made these steps because she's very crafty. Or maybe my uncle made it. He was a carpenter, or he is a carpenter. And so I remember just loving that. And I remember when I first started this, I would always want to get up before my kids and make sure I get my workout in. And that is still something I would like to do.
Yeah.
But I have a 2-year-old son that likes to co-sleep, and that doesn't always happen. True. So I had to learn, though, to be like, it's okay if they're right there on me. And I think so many moms...
They learn from you, too, from visually watching you.
It is so important. But I think so many of us moms, and I did this, so I can call us out, is we use our kids as an excuse of why we're not fit. But really, we should be using them as our why to why we need to be fit.
I love that. Having a why, that's awesome.
Yeah, that is big. Like when you sign up with me, that's going to be something I ask, like even when you're thinking about, like somebody sends me a message and they're like, hey, I'm interested in this. I'm like, okay, why are you interested? Because I don't want you just to sign up and think, okay, I'm going to drink this shake and do this workout for 21 days and I'm going to look like what I want and feel like what I want to. Nope, you're not. And I'm very honest and upfront when I talk to people about that, because it's not, I've been doing this for, my daughter's 4. So like 4 years.
Yeah.
And I didn't get my results from like right at the beginning. It took time for your body, like, and I did it through 2 pregnancies, and I'm thankful for that. And I think that's another thing is like moms want to bounce back after they had babies. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having, people like to call them vain goals. I don't think there is anything wrong with you having a goal to look a certain way. Some people, that's like a big thing in today's world, is to love your body the way that it is. I'm sorry. Yes, you should love your body where it's at and what it's doing for you. But you should also want to be healthy.
And improve that in some way. And
improve it, yes. Like you shouldn't want to sit where you're at and be like, well, I'm just love me for where I'm at. And that goes for your mental health too. We as humans should always be growing. It doesn't like...
Yes, I want to learn every day.
Yes.
I want to learn every day.
And you don't just get there overnight. Like, and you don't just get to 35 and say, oh, I know everything I need and I don't have anything. I'm going to be me. I think that's another big thing I'm on, is like so many people are like, I want to be me and I'm going to be happy. And I want everybody to be happy and I want everybody to be me or be themselves or find themselves. But like that, it's just a lie that the world has sold us. And to me, the devil has sold us.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. You are not going to do, that's not how the world works. So I think it's so important to continue to grow and read books. And that's a big thing.
Be curious.
When I first signed up, they were big on, you need to do personal development. And I had like, we had kind of done it some in my old job. Like my boss would get us a book every year and we kind of do it as a group.
A little book study kind of deal.
Yeah. So, but I'd never really like, at all in my 20s, I don't think I ever really read. So when I started coaching and they're like, okay, did you do your 20 minutes of personal development today? Okay.
Gosh,
I'll get a book.
Check mark. I guess I will.
But I'm so thankful for that. And now I have like 5 books in a rotation that I go through. Like,
and that's a huge thing. Having a cycle, having you made the habit of, they told you may have not liked it at first, but then you start to learn to like it. Like I remember during COVID, I made the things of, I got so used to drinking soda, or I got so used to drinking all these little extra little mixed drink things. And I got a point where I'm just going to learn to drink water. And I'm going to love drinking more water. And I drink so much more water as a result of COVID going through and doing that. That was my change. I drink, it was, besides soda, it was juice. I love juice. There's nothing wrong with juice. Don't get me wrong here. It's great. But I got, when going to not orthodontist, but the dentist, they go, you have too much acidic levels. So it's actually hurting your mouth a little bit more. But yeah, you have to make and realize that. Choose that.
Well, and like, I like what you said about you drank water and now you can drink it more. That's with even like, when I think about new people are like, I can't eat that. Or some people are weird about shakes. They're like, how does it taste? What is it? Texture. Yeah. And I'm like, the more you eat or drink something, the more used to it you're going to get. And I'm sorry, if some of y'all can drink some of the alcoholic beverages you drink, you can drink a shake or you can drink some water.
Yes, that's true.
Let's be real.
That is true.
So, and like, I think it comes back to if you really want it or not. It's a choice, and it is very hard, and you don't always want to do it. But and growth is not linear. Like it's not. You're not just going to like.
You're
it's
gonna go up
and
go
down and up and down and. But each time you've learned something from that down. You learn in those valleys.
Yes.
So I think it's so important to do that and to not like, to give yourself grace when you do. Like I remember I would get so upset with myself when I was like, okay, you didn't work out today? Like, why didn't you get off your butt and get it done? And then I almost became like obsessive with it. But then I was like, okay, as long as you don't skip 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
Like you
Don't do
know,
it tomorrow. I think they say 30 days to make a habit, but 2 or 3 days to break it.
I know it says that, but I don't even believe 30 days. I'm like it does make it easier, but I feel like
become like a ritual for you.
I feel like it took me about 2 years to be like working out almost every day. Like 6 out of 7 days a week usually is how much I work out, or may go hiking or something. Like, so when I say workout,
there's different definitions of workout besides just going
movement,
to the gym.
I guess you would say.
Movement, exactly.
I think it took me like 2 years, honestly, for it to become like second nature, where it's like, it's just a part of my day. But that's how you learn how you brush your teeth every morning.
Yes, exactly.
Anything like that. People don't think of those. And you honestly clear up space in your brain.
When it becomes the autopilot, natural thing for it. That's for me whenever I go at school. Immediately, I see a lot of people making their coffee or doing this stuff. I immediately walk down with my thing, fill up my water, walk back to my classroom. And in my brain, I go, I need to have this glass done that I've got here by second period because I know I'll feel better. I know, and people are looking for instant gratification, as you mentioned earlier. But now that I know, like, my gratification whenever I finish that glass, it's not gratification. It's I know I'm naturally just feel it, and if I don't do it that day, I feel it.
Oh yeah,
and as you mentioned of not beating yourself, giving yourself that grace for it. That is another mindset that you have to allow yourself to learn how to listen to. Okay, yes, I'm talking negative about myself, but how can I change that verbiage?
Oh yeah,
how can I change
your
how I
positive affirmations are so. I was always a girl that really had good self-esteem. Like I didn't really have an issue with that until
I struggle with that one.
I can't. Yeah, it is hard for some. I mean, I did. I remember in high school in middle school, like I did have some issues, but it wasn't. Girls kind of started being mean to me in high school, and I was like, it made me get a backbone and be like, okay, I'm not playing this game. Yeah. And so now I really am a person that I don't really care what people think about me.
That's something that I'm glad that you get to that point. That takes a while to get there.
But I want to say I've always been that person, or like for the majority of my life and majority of my 20s. Now, when I got so unhealthy, I was not that person. And when I gained that weight, I was not that person. And it's not just the weight gain. It was what it did to me mentally. Like when you have extra pounds on you, it's going to affect you mentally.
Because the way you carry yourself is different. How you respond.
You can't get around. It's easier. I want to make sure that my mom is probably the same age as like 66. I want to say 60. I think my dad's 65. My mom's 66.
My dad is age and that.
But she watches 6 of her grandchildren that are under the age of 5.
Yeah.
2 days a week. And then she watches the other one all the days of the week, like 3 of them. But it's like, she does that at 66 years old. That's amazing. I want to do that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of 66-year-olds that I see that like can barely get around. And I don't ever want to be that way. I want my kids to have kids and me be able to be the grandma that keeps them while they're doing what they want to do.
And doing this stuff with them constantly. That's the thing there is I love seeing, gosh, who was it? My wife's great uncle. We went out to Arizona, I think it was last year. And every year for, I can't remember how many consecutive years, he hikes to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and back up. And I go, how in the world does he do this? But every day he gets up and he walks. I can't remember. I think it's 4 or 5 miles every day. And he constantly has the certain things that he's eating, the certain stuff he's doing. And they intentionally chose where they live at because of the way the atmosphere, it affects his body. And I looked at him when we were there and I go, you're not, I can't remember how old he is in his 90s. But I'm like, you look like you're in your 70s.
Yeah, it's amazing.
On that completely thing that's there.
Well, I think
it's not just genes.
No.
That's part of it, yes, because you have certain predispositions that come to you. I agree. I'm not arguing saying, okay, guests don't freak out saying like, oh my gosh, he's saying that there is like it's yes, you do have gene issues. I get it. And I'm one of those people that I have my issues that I deal with all the time, but you can choose to how to preventative care because I have bad knees. I know I have bad knees. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing certain things for my knees because of my knees hurt. I do certain exercise to build muscle around them to try to elongate that as long as possible. But you have to decide to do it.
Yep.
You really do. And that's why mindset is a huge key.
Oh, yeah. And I think the whole gene thing is like, I liked people to think like just for a moment, think about this. How much is it your genes versus how much is it how you grew up and you're repeating what your parents did? And like you said, I know there are some things that definitely are genes.
Oh, yeah.
But there are also things that you can do, like you said, to help prevent that and to maybe change it for the future generations.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's and putting
everybody's watching you.
Yeah.
You watch your mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think about like my mom's mom was very overweight. And, like she didn't want to be like that. And there's a lot that goes into that though. And it's not like you mentioned how her uncle, whatever he ate, that is huge. What you are putting in your body.
Oh, yeah.
Is huge. And like reading it, like my big thing is some people probably call me crunchy, whatever the words are that the kids use these days. I don't know. Crunchy.
God, there's so many weird different lingo.
But
I like to use the darn kids in your lingo. Get off my lawn.
I know. Sometimes when I'm at work with sometimes I still work part-time, so I'm with students and they'll say things and I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like maybe I need to Google this because is that inappropriate? But
yeah.
Anyways, that's a whole nother story.
We're getting older. It's part of it.
Yes. But what you put in your body and reading ingredients is huge. Like I don't go in there. I'm very realistic, I guess, with living low tox.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not, like I said earlier, if my kids go to a birthday party and there's cupcakes there, I'm not going to tell them they can't have a cupcake. But I've made my daughter very aware of, I don't tell my daughter, if you eat all this sugar and cupcakes, you're going to be overweight when you're older. I don't say that. Yeah. I ask her how she feels after she eats too much sugar and now
she's making the association.
She has connected that and she will tell people like, no, thank you. I already had a cookie today. And she'll tell people like, that has dye. We went to a Halloween party and she's like, I can't have that. That's got red dye in it. And the person like looked at me and I was like, sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
Or like we were at a playground and this little girl was so sweet and offered her a snack and Naomi was like, that has dyes and I can't eat it. And so I let her decide. Yeah. It's just something she tells people I can have it sometimes, but I don't have it all the time. And I think that's something it's in moderation.
It's like self-advocating too at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love that she can do that. And I haven't made it like a shaming thing. I don't think you should shame. I think we grew up in a generation where we were told if you eat these things, you're going to be fat. And
yes, we got shamed a lot. Yep.
We got shamed for that. I don't want that to ever be the case with my kids. I want them to have a healthy relationship with food. I don't want them to be, a lot of people struggle with like emotional eating or like they hide what they eat.
Yep.
Or they have secret snack stashes and stuff. And I don't ever want people to feel like bad for that, but like figure out where that's coming from.
Yeah.
Get to the root of that. And I want to set my kids up to not have that issue. I don't make my kids finish their plate. If they are full.
That's a big thing that we were taught, don't leave food behind. There's starving kids in Africa. Okay. But your body's gonna tell you when it's full. Yes. And if you eat too much on it, it's gonna affect you.
Yeah.
You
kids'
start to
bodies,
expect to eat more because that's what you've been eating. And that is a very common thing. And your body's gonna tell you when it's hungry again.
Yep.
I'm a grazer. I eat throughout the day and I eat little snacks here and there, but I eat whenever I'm kind of hungry. And I feel that. And then if I'm not hungry, if I realize that I'm going towards the kitchen, I may be bored and I'm just looking to get a thing of food just to do something. And that's why I put certain intentional things out there that I will eat. Like I keep my fruit visible here. Yep. I've got, and so eating fruit. And then over in the corner, I've got by my cookie jar, I've got it's not actually, I don't have cookies in it, but I call it because it was my cookie jar as a kid. But I've got next to it a beet powder and I've got beet powder in oh my gosh, kale powder. Because I don't like kale and don't like beets. But the thing is it was a way for me to be able to get those nutritions.
Yes.
And putting it in, and some people are like, well, you don't get all the nutrition you get out of it, but I'm like, at least getting something.
Yes.
And that for me, I've made that association. If I go over there and I get that, because I want to, ultimately, I'm just thirsty. And so I'll just put it into a glass of water. And that is kind of like I'm over here and I'm bored. Okay, that's what you're going to do. And I now do it. And it's a good thing.
Well, that's what one of our nutrition programs tells you, like every time you get hungry, go drink a glass of water and then wait 10, 15 minutes. And if you're still hungry, then go grab something. I just stopped buying the bad stuff. Like I know
you have to make that
decision. If I have oatmeal cream pies in my pantry, that I'm going to eat them, but I'm going to have a terrible stomach ache after the fact. So like it's it's a program called 2B Mindset. And she actually has a book too. It's called, I put it down here, You Can Drop It by Ilana Muhlstein. And I learned so much about myself doing her program. Like you journal what you eat. She uses a method called Plate It.
Okay.
So I liked this nutrition program because to me it was more flexible. So what you do is you look at your plate And so, for example, my breakfast was 50% protein and 50% fiber-filled carbs. So and they give you a list of foods that go under those categories.
Okay.
So, and then lunch would be 25% this and 50% this and each whatever category, food category was. But you can just look at your plate and you don't have to measure anything out or any. I love that.
That is nice.
So it worked for me when I was breastfeeding. It worked for me when I was trying to lose weight after I had my daughter and breastfeeding and doing all that. So it was very, I love that because I could just, I don't want to have to measure stuff out. I love that we have that variety though, because there is another program. It's called Portion Fix and it has containers that go with it. So some people might be familiar with macros, which is another nutrition. It's not one that we sponsor, but macros is a big word in the fitness world and people like measure their food out and weigh it. And that is not for me. I'm sorry. I'm a mom of two. Yeah, I'm not measuring my food out.
It's another step first off. And it makes you feel like if you're doing a little bit more than what you had, your kind of brain goes, okay, wait, I just did too much. And it almost becomes you're thinking about it too much. You're overthinking.
You are thinking about it. Yeah, way too. And if you overthink something, it's going to overwhelm you and you're going to quit.
Yeah. The simplicity of something really goes a long way.
I like how their Portion Fix with the containers, they have a green container, a purple container, a red container, a blue, and an orange, I think. And they all like the greens, vegetables, the purples, fruits.
Oh,
and
so you're making the association there with those certain colors.
Well, and it has a lid on it, but it's just a container. And what you do is you're going to put your weight in. You're going to put how old you are, like if you want to lose weight, gain weight, maintain. Okay. And it will tell you how many containers you can have a day. Oh. So then you just space your meals out and know what you can eat. So I have done both. I liked the containers for when I was trying to tone my body up and get a little more fit. I actually did and they weren't as complicated as they seemed. It was actually a lot easier. We had a program that was more of a specialized nutrition program come out called Gut Protocol.
Okay.
And it redoes your gut.
Yeah, you got all the different organisms and things in your gut, and it can change.
I have never felt so great in my entire life. Like the first 2 weeks were hard and it's very strict. So it's not something for me. It's not something I would do all the time, but it's something I would do for like a reset every few months.
Yeah.
So but a big thing I learned in that program too was you're supposed to eat 30 different fruits and vegetables a week.
30 different?
That sounds like a lot. It's really not.
30 different. I don't even know if I can name 30 different. I know I can name 10 or 15, but I don't know if I can name 30.
It really does sound like a lot. But once I got in and did it, I was like, okay, it's not so much. And it made me try a lot of different things. But my energy was through the roof because you stay away from what she does is she eliminates a lot of those high sensitivity foods. So the first little bit, you don't have gluten, you don't have dairy, you only have red meat a couple times a week.
Okay.
So she eliminates some of those high sensitivity foods and then she'll introduce them back in so you can see where your sensitivities are.
True. I've noticed I went off dairy for a little while just to get off dairy just to see because my wife went full vegan and she'll go vegetarian every so often, have something if we're out and about somewhere, just kind of be like, I don't want to push someone off on it. But I was like, oh, you know what? I'll do it with her for a little while just to kind of see what I like and what I don't like. And I went off of dairy and I realized, holy moly, my hands swell. And I feel like a little bit slower when I'm having dairy. And now, but I learned that from a little bit of exposure, getting off of it, putting it back on, be like, oh wow, that's what that is.
Well, I think a lot of it too is where are we getting our dairy from? I think it goes back to the ingredients thing because my son cannot have, which I usually buy organic milk if I'm going to get milk, but he still was kind of sensitive to it. So I started buying raw cow's milk.
Yeah.
It cleared up. He had a little eczema on the back of his arms. Nice. Cleared it up like that. And he loves it. And then honestly, I was like, I've never really been a milk drinker, but it is so good. It is so good in my shakes. It's just so rich and creamy. And it's how it was designed to be drank.
Whenever you were talking about reading labels and doing stuff, when I was even up into college, I never sat back and read ingredients. I just thought, okay, that's something I know I like. I'm going to go get it. Whenever I started dating my wife, she has a tree nut allergy. And so I started becoming more and more aware of, okay, I need to stop and read the thing here at the bottom. And then I started looking at, okay, how much sugar is in this? Okay, is this a natural sugar? Is this a cane sugar? Okay, wait a second. Okay, I know what this word actually means in comparison to, okay, that's a processed sugar, or this is something here. But we didn't I never thought about that
No.
for a long time.
Well, and honestly, like, so an oatmeal cream pie when we were younger is not what an oatmeal cream pie is now.
Everything changes in terms of
everything has changed and has way more ingredients now. So some people are like, well, you grew up eating it, so you're fine. No, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
The dyes are not the same. Like, and you gotta think, like, people don't realize even your shampoos have dyes in them, people. Look at them.
All of them.
Like, your shampoos have dyes in them.
looking at a list of like, oh, this has 30 ingredients. I'm like, what?
Yeah. So when I go to the grocery store, I really like I said, I try to live low tox, buy organic if I can.
Yeah. It's not always the easiest because it can be expensive.
Yes, it can be expensive. But honestly, like when you're eating quality food too, you're going to get full faster.
Yeah, it's very true.
You figure out that you can make stuff at your house for cheaper than you can buy. Oh my gosh,
the fraction.
So every week, me and my kids pick out a recipe to make for their snack for the week. Like it might be some like mini muffins and like my kids don't know what half the stuff in the store is, or like sodas or some, their dad likes to drink sodas and Naomi's always like, Daddy's drinking a bad drink. He cannot. Oh man, he should not be drinking that.
Yeah, I can't do a lot of soda anymore. The only time I will give myself like a soda every so often when I'm eating certain food, but I'm like, it's surprising me whenever I was like, I don't like soda much anymore. There's like 2 or 3 that I really like that I'll get for myself occasionally, but I'm like, I used to drink a lot of soda, but I'm like,
I love a Diet Dr. Pepper.
Cheerwine is like my huge. Ugh.
I want one every so often. I want people to know like it's okay to have a soda.
You don't have to be perfect. Yeah.
It's that are you doing it every single day? And that's when it becomes unhealthy. And honestly, like anything every single day, I got to a point where I was overworking my body every single day, or like multiple times a day I would be working out. And that was when I had to learn, like I have to rest. Out. And I did a program, it's called Fire and Flow, and it had a heavy focus on mental health as well. So your fire days were like your high intensity HIIT workouts, and your flow days were like your mental health, like yoga. Mm-hmm. The trainer that does that, I love her voice. Like some people don't. I like it. It's very soothing. And that's another thing, all the trainers and all the programs, they're so motivational. Like you don't just get a workout.
You have to have a motivation speaker too when you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're coming out and you're saying sit like this, you're not going to stick through it. You're not going to.
No. And all these trainers, I have done a program from all of them. At first, I was like really stuck on I did a boxing program with a trainer named Joel Freeman.
Nice.
And that was like out of my comfort zone, but I loved it. Like it worked muscles in my abs
that you never thought
I never knew existed. But it was really fun and different. And I didn't have to get up and down off the floor a lot. And that's when my knees weren't as strong. I couldn't even do a lunge back then.
Yeah.
So
and now look at kind of what can kind of change.
Yes. So I did that. So I was kind of stuck on him, and I just wanted to do his programs for a while. And then I got in another trainer we have is Amala. And all the ladies love him because he's got big muscles. But
oh man,
I love him though because he will push you. But his story is an amazing one. And he is like the things that he tells you while you're working out, he explains while you're working out. He has a program called I'm drawing a blank on it. But it teaches you about your body and like us as Americans, this is going to be like weird, but I remember him saying this in the program. Our toilets are higher than every single other country because we don't have the range of motion to sit that low anymore. We, as Americans as a whole. I
never would have thought about that.
But think about how high toilets are now.
This is true. They are really high. I know that my knees are not flush at some toilets. Like in terms of when I sit down, I'm like, my knees, like I'm actually bending my knee upwards to kind of sit on this. And the way you sit on a toilet, this is something I actually do notice. It actually affects how you can be able to use the restroom.
Yep.
If you cannot be able to release as much.
Yes.
Or that and the discomfort that comes from on your tailbone too. I have tailbone issues that I never like, and now I realize, oh my gosh, the way I sit and sit does affect that. But wow, I didn't realize the height of that is so weird.
That program's 645. That's what it's called.
645.
645. And then he has another one called, it just came out a little while ago. It's called Chop Wood, Carry Water. And it's about primal movements. A lot of people probably don't know what those are, but he focuses on like your range of motion and getting on the floor and how we have gotten away from like how our bodies are really supposed to move.
I
And
agree.
it was a hard program. I mean, I am not a coordinated person, so
I'm on the same boat.
looked so
I'm harsh on things.
We have some dancing programs, and I'm like, that is never ever gonna be me. Like I remember doing one, and my husband looked at me like, okay, that's not your jam. Like, but you're real cute, but no. So I'm just not a coordinated person. But and I think it goes back to like, you don't have to be a coordinated person. And we have a program for everybody. And another thing I love about all of our workout programs is we always have a modifier. So
yes, that's always a key one. Modify.
And I think it's important. Like, I am strong and I have been doing this for years, but I still modify sometimes. There's nothing wrong with modifying as long as you're still moving. And I just love that they offer that though, because I know some people are like, one, they don't know which move to do, but it's always a visual. Like there's always the trainer and then there's people behind them and you got your modifier. So you can see what they're doing and they explain it. So it's just been game changing for me. Like I will never ever have a gym membership again. Like
I've gotten into the gym membership and I enjoy it, but then I've got this program, Better Me, like app, and I'm being able to learn how to do certain things that I was doing in the gym at home. I was like,
oh, cool.
This is really nice.
I've heard about the Better Me stuff.
It's a different way to kind of be able to look at it. I'm like, okay, I would have never thought about. You can still stretch the same muscle without having to use weights.
Yes.
And you can be able to actually stretch the muscle a little bit better than whenever you're doing the weights, because the weights adding that extra little bit of pressure to you that your body may not be ready for. And if you're jumping off, okay, that could do it. But I think there's a purpose for all of them, doing things at home and then having a gym as well. Because for me, I'm separating home. Sometimes I'm coming out, I want to relax. I want to have that thing. But that's for me. That's not for everyone. And then I live close to a gym. So people may not live close to a gym. And then also to find that time frame to be able to go and do it. And then finding a place that you feel comfortable walking in. You're not going to be shamed for, I can't do this. Or I see that guy that's entirely buff doing this.
Making your own workouts. Yes. That's a lot of time.
That is a lot of time.
And we're like, I remember getting on Pinterest or whatever, and there's like 500 million workouts you can do. But I always tell people too, like, if you're doing inconsistent workouts, you're going to get inconsistent results.
Yep.
So our programs are designed by trainers that design them that way for a reason. And there's always, I love this because I'm a calendar girl, but every program has program materials and there's a calendar that you can print off and stick it up on your fridge and mark each day off.
That is a satisfying thing that as a kid that I didn't think about, but as an adult, I make to-do lists and have sticky notes everywhere. And whenever I can crumple up something or put a line through it, it's like satisfying.
Yes. Yeah. And I always tell people, like, it really is like that's where you gain your confidence though. Like when you finish that first program, I always try to set people up to do like shorter programs that are just like 4 weeks long, that are like 4 or 5 times a week and less than 30 minutes or less a day.
Yes.
Because I want them to be successful and I want them to gain that confidence back, because most people that come to me, their confidence is shot. And that comes, like I said, when your mental health is struggling and you've got extra weight, or like, a lot of us were fit. It was easy to be fit when we were younger.
Oh my gosh.
Not all of us, but a lot. But
our metabolism worked differently.
Or we were in sports, or even in band. Like you guys
did cross country, wasn't it? Or track?
I did not do cross country.
Okay, for some odd reason, my brain like
no long distance for me. When they put me to mid distance at track, I was like, no, thank you. This is terrible. But I did run track and I played basketball. So like I've always had like an athletic background.
But you were doing that 4 or 5 days a week, and then when you leave.
Well, and we had weight training I always had to do weight training as a class because I was in those sports. So I just always
you were around it.
I grew up. We had a home gym at my house. Yeah. Like my dad had, and he still has it. Like he still has my brothers. They go over there and they work out with my dad, and which I think is so cool. Like now, and if I was closer, like I'm an hour from my parents, which isn't too bad. But
trying to do that every day, that's 2-hour round trip.
Yes.
That you're looking at.
Yeah. So I love that I have my little space. And honestly, I spent the money. It was an investment, but I spent the money on the Bowflex weights that I can change out.
Oh yeah.
And then we also partnered with a company called Mixbike, and I got their bike, which you have a screen on it. It's like kind of like a Peloton. Okay. Or Peloton's more
probably way more affordable than a Peloton.
Yes, they are.
Ooh.
And you get your membership with it. And all the other workouts are on that screen too. And it came with 3 sets of weights, a workout mat, a roller, some other stuff. I can't remember exactly. It was a few years ago that I bought it now. But it was you have to invest in yourself. Because like I said, if you're not investing in your health proactively, you're going to have to reactively invest in it. And it's going to be at doctors who are going to charge you an arm and a leg to give you things that treat your symptoms and not the root of what you have
treating
going
a symptom is always the biggest issue.
Yes.
And I hate whenever sometimes you do need to go to a doctor.
Yes.
I totally agree. Like if you have an issue that you've been trying to work on and it doesn't get fixed, we're not telling you not to go.
Yeah.
But you can do so much to get to it. Like I tried for 6 months when I realized I bruised my tailbone. I was like, okay, my tailbone hurts, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And before I go, just to say that, hey, I have tried this. Then I got there and the first thing that they started to mention out was, okay, we want to look at cutting you open. I'm like, wait a second. Whoa, whoa.
But you have to advocate for yourself.
You do. And a lot of people will sit there and they'll look at it and be like, okay, this is what they said. The doctor's right. And I got to do it. Yes, your doctor is going to help you and do the best they can. But let's be honest here. They're not going to give you the holistic kind of stuff because if that's not what they're trained in from that.
Yeah. And you need to shop around and
always
get second opinions. I hate to say shop around, but
it's a term that relates back to things.
Yeah.
It's you need to get all the different opinions that you can get out there before don't go to just one person.
No. And find people that have experienced it themselves. And I always tell people, like, if they're having any health issues, like if your doctor doesn't ask you what you're eating, how much time you're spending outside, I think being outside is we do not get enough sunshine.
You do not. It's a true statement.
Are you moving your body? Like if your doctor's not asking you what you're putting in your body, if you go, even going to a psychiatrist, because a lot of the psychological stuff we have going on with our society can go back to what you're putting in your body and the lack of movement, sitting in front of a screen too much.
Yep.
It's creating these disorders. It's not all of it necessarily. Like it goes back to some of the things, but
the little bits of here and there
it can contribute to it a ton.
So think about your caffeine. Caffeine acts a certain way. Okay, what about another ingredient? Every ingredient has a consequence that it kind of does good or bad. Kind of the deal for it. It really does.
Yep, it's wild to think about, but I'm thankful, like I said, that my mom set me up to be successful. I think it goes back to like, how did your mom take care of herself when she was pregnant? How did she take care of herself postpartum? Because, I mean, a lot of your emotional health goes back to that, and your mental health goes back to the connection you had with your parents, especially your mother when you were young. So I think moms need to come back to like, you can take care of yourself and still be a mom.
On that note, we're going to take a pause in the conversation because I want to make sure that I can be able to honor this time because of an hour is a pretty good length here. So when we come back here, we're going to pick back up talking about self-care and some of the importance that she has in her life of how she can be able to maintain this. She's going to give us some book recommendations and talk a little bit about her social media promotions. That's because that's something that's very important. Join us in 2 weeks for part 2 of this series with Britney. It has been a blast. I look forward to seeing you when we return. In the meantime, if you would like to reach out to Britney, I'm going to have down in the show notes a bunch of her contact links through social media to be able to kind of reach out and learn more in the process. If you would like to reach out to me, my email address is cade, which is spelled CADE, @learningfromfriends.com. I have a Facebook page if you would like to reach out as well there. And I have a Patreon page. If you'd like to make a donation, that would be awesome. I would be greatly appreciative of that. Look all this up under Learning from Friends podcast. And I also have a website, learningfromfriends.com. If you'd like to be able to go on that way. I am on so many vast platforms that you can be able to look up and listen to. So I ask one thing of you guys, to share this with your friends, family, coworkers. That's how we can be able to spread knowledge and joy out there. And look back through the archives because we've got 70 plus episodes now, and maybe there's something out there for you. Find what you enjoy and learn some more. So, as we leave out here today, my name is Cade Curtis, your tour guide in this lovely adventure that I like to call Learning from Friends. And most of all, don't forget, let your curiosity fly high.